Sorry. Good afternoon. Today we will discuss about today's class is about the functions. Okay. Now let me share my screen. In the previous classes, we have done two examples like a reverse of a number or reverse of a string by using the loop statements, and we have done a small program also. Let me share my screen. Okay, yesterday we done the calculator program by using for like while, loop, if, and everything. Okay, so now today we will discuss about the functions. Okay, today we will discuss about the functions. Let me write out a simple example here. What are the functions? And we can call these functions as a method also. Hi, I see. Method. We can call this as a method also. Method or a function is a block of a code which only runs when it is called. Means in Java, okay, a block of code that perform specific task. To perform any specific task, like for addition or subtraction, we need to write it with the taking input, and we are directly giving, like, let me show you here in our demo project, like building system or grad calculator. See, this is not the building system. See, to build a shop, okay, to build we want to give the total bill to the user. So to perform this particular task, we can use the methods, like to whatever the logic you are using, to get the total bill, that bill task, okay, that bill code has to be set in a block of a code, and we use that black repeated times, okay, repeated times. Like, see, a function is a block of a code that performs a specific task. If you want to add two numbers, okay, so the logic for the two numbers addition will be written in the block of a code, and that block of a code we can run only when we call that method. When we call that method, let me write down what I'm saying. Okay, a function is a block of a code. Is a block of a code that performs a specific task, okay, and it runs only when you call that method. When it runs only when it is called. Okay, when it is called. Thus here we have the syntax as, okay, here we have syntax as, we have certain names here, which is nothing but a return type. Return type means whatever the method is resulting, whatever the method is giving you, that is known as a return type. So that return type can be integer, character, or string type. Okay, and you can, here after that you need to write the function name. Okay, whatever the method you want to create, that name and the parameters you're passing into that method. Okay, now this is a block of a code. Okay, whatever the logic you want to write it in this block, so you can write it here, body of the function. Okay, after performing your logic, okay, whatever the logic you are returning, okay, you are writing that logic has to be written here. Now after that, you need to send the output to the user. When he calls this method, you need to send the output to that, so that we will write here as a return value. Whatever the value we are getting the output, so that value has to be written, and the return type has to be he the return type has to be written here in the function. Like, see here, I will take one example as in addition itself. See here, return type will be integer. I'm assuming I want the output in the integer from this method. So I am adding like integer, the function name is add. Okay, function name is add. So here, this is a block of a code. This is a block of a code. Inside this, I need to send the parameters to this add function. So integer A, one parameter, and integer B is another parameter. Integer B is another parameter. So in the addition, what I need to do, when the user asks me to perform a sum of two numbers, so which is nothing but integer A and integer B, I want to return him the A plus B, right? That's the reason he is calling me. Add is calling you. Add function means we need to send him the result of A plus B. So here the return type is integer, right? So the return, whatever we are returning, that data type has to be written in the function. Okay, this is a return type. So return A plus B. Okay, return A plus B. So this is a small syntax, and the small, this is how we actually write the function. Okay, now why we use this method or in a function. Okay, we are writing certain code here. Okay, this is we are returning. Okay, that code, if you want to write that code again and again repeated times, okay, so you can simply call this method. You don't need to write this code. See, you assume this is simple code. Okay, here this is a simple code, but when you have a large number of code, okay, when like 8 to 9 lines of a code, so you need, when you want to repeat that 8 to 9 line of codes in your program, it will increase the memory. Okay, it will increase the line of your code. Okay, and the repetitive task will be headache. Okay, so for code reusability and code organization, like code organizations and reducing the redundancy is nothing but when you write the code repeatedly, okay, to reduce the redundancy, and it is also easier for testing and debugging. So the main benefits of this, benefits of using functions. Okay, benefits of using functions is uh, code reusability, code reusability, and code reorganization or code organization, and reduce the redundancy. Reduces the redundancy and easier testing and debugging. Okay, so these are the benefits of the function. The functions is a block of a code that performs a specific task, but to perform this specific task, you need to call. Okay, you need to call means you need to call that method. Whatever the method, you need to call that method with its method name in your class. So then it will perform that task. Okay, this is a syntax, the basic syntax, and this is a small example. And we have uh, type of functions and the methods. Okay, see here we have the types of functions, which means basically depends on the parameters and the return types. Okay, like see, it will no return, there will be nothing to return, and no parameters, no parameters. Okay, now only prints like if you want to print anything, okay, like it will not return you anything, and it will doesn't ask you any parameters to send it to the parameters. Like example, see here, I'm taking the return type as a string. Okay, this example. And okay, or else see here I'm taking the hello method. Okay, hello, and inside that hello I'm just giving system dot out dot print ln of, okay, print hello guys. Okay, so when I call this method, it simply prints the output. Okay, it doesn't ask you any return type or any parameters. So this type we call as a no return, no parameters, only prints something. Okay, no input, no input, no output, no input or output. Okay, so this is one type. And another, we have no parameters, sorry, no return time with parameters. Now we are sending the parameters, but no, we are not returning anything. We are not returning anything. Okay. Takes input, but does not return. Does not return. Now see, for the first, like for this parameter, like no returns, no parameter, I will give you a small example just like that. Okay, let me give that example in the Eclipse. Okay, now here in our source basic program, now let me create one program for functions, right? Examples of functions, sample, and I'm selecting public static void main. Okay, now let me show you here. Okay, now see, this is our main method. The program will start from here itself. Okay, now the method has to be written. Okay, the method will, one second guys. Yeah, see, the method has to be written here, and when there is no return type, we write the void and greet as a method name. Inside this method name, here we are not, see, this is an example for the no return, no parameters. We are not sending anything and we are not expecting anything, but it simply print you the output. Okay, whatever the output. Yeah, here I said, right, no parameters, no return type, only prints something, no input, no output. So here we will say it as system dot out dot print ln of, okay, print ln of hello, welcome to Java function. Okay, this is a Java function, right? Now it's Java function. So now see, when you, let me just clear it here. Let me call this one. See, here we are getting error. Okay, here we are getting error. Why? Because this method, whatever the method we have, to call the method, we need to create, okay, we need to create the object of that particular class. Okay, object of the particular class. Now let me say what is, I am repeating again. See, the function is a block of a code to design the perform a particular task. It will perform in a particular task. It is executed. Okay, whatever the code we have written in this method, that method will be executed only when we call that method. Okay, this is a method, but it directly not print. See, just here we have written the code for our method, right? Let me run this again. See, the program is running, but it doesn't print anything. Okay, let me show you it running or not by taking simple example here, and I will show you this. Okay, save it and rerun this. See, the program is running and it's printing just hello, but it's not printing whatever we have written in this method. Why? Why? Because it will execute only when we call that method in our main function. Okay. Like just think like a machine. Okay. When you give the input to that machine, it does something and returns output. Okay. For any vending machine or any ATM or any machine, when you give input to that machine, it will process that. Okay, it will do something in the background and it will return the output. Just like that, we need to, okay, we need to call this method. Okay, we need to call this method and we need to send the parameters, and that parameters will do something here and it will return it. But here we have different types of functions. Okay, here we have different types of functions, so that we are going with one after one. So first is no return, no parameters, nothing, but it will not return anything and it will not take any inputs, but it simply does some parameters. Okay, it simply does some code. Uh, we use this for modularity, like code will be broken into small pieces and we can use it for the debugging and for hiding any details or like some necessary details. Okay, and these are the types of functions, whether we take the parameters or whether they're returning a value or not returning any value. Okay, so no return, no parameters will it just perform an action in there. Okay, this is a major example. And void greet, when there is no return type, we have to return, we need to use a keyword known as a void. Okay, and this is return type. Okay, so return type, the return type has to be like integer or void or boolean or something. Okay, so if there is no return type, we need to use the void, and this has to be function name, and here we need to send the parameters. And if you are returning anything in a function, you need to use a keyword return. Okay, you need to use a keyword return to return the value. Okay, but it is an optional when you are using a void. Okay, when you are using the void, when you are using the void keyword in your method, that means we are not returning anything. We are not returning anything. Now, yeah. Mm, where we are, yeah, we are discussing about this great, right? Now see, it's running, but it doesn't printing what we have written in this method. But how we need to call that? One second. See, here we are writing some line of the code, but it's not printing. But when we make this method as a static, okay, we are making this method as a static. Static methods are nothing but you can call that methods without creating an object of this class. Okay, without creating an object of this class. See, now if you don't want to make the method as a static, so you need to create an object of the particular class, whatever we are there, that class like sc or ef equals to new function. Okay, so now what we have done, we have created the object of this class. Now with the help of this object, we can call the methods what we have in our C. Here we can call that greet method. Okay, now see, we are not getting any error. Okay, we are not getting any error because we have created the object of this class. This object and class we will discuss in the OOPS concept. So now I am just removing this and making this method as a static. Static means when you use the static keyword for a method, then you don't need to create any object of this class. Without creating any object of this class, you can call this method simply. Okay, see, now the error gone. And when I run this program, Java application, see, it's printing me everything. Now if again I want to all that, okay, let me rerun this again. See, it's okay. Whenever you want to call that method and perform that code, whatever the code is present in that method, okay, so you can call that simply. So this is called a reusability of the code. Now another type we have, this is one type for no return and no parameters, and we have second one as with parameters or with return and with parameters. We are sending parameters and it is also sending a result for us. So here what we will, okay, let me remove this. I think we will do that addition only. Okay, so now I am making, here we need to write, right? So here I'm taking again the static. Okay, and so here we can we can return the value and we can print the value. If you are printing the value, you can use the void. Okay, you can use the void because it's not returning anything. But here with the return, we can take as static int. Okay, the return type has to be int because we're adding the two numbers and we are taking the function name as add, and inside this we need to send the parameters, right? So parameters are nothing but what are the values we are sending. So the first is the value of integer a and the second value is integer b. Okay, now inside this block I am writing the logic. Okay, I'm writing the logic which is nothing but a return whatever the values they are saying, we need to sum that and we need to return the value a plus b. Okay, now this is the logic of the addition. Okay, when we call that, this function name, which is nothing but method add. Okay, add, see here it expect two parameters. Okay, here it expect two parameters because we are sending two parameters, then only it will result you, it will then only it will give you the result, and it will give you the result and that has to be stored in one variable, right? So here I am taking integer. What is the return type? It is an integer, right? It is sending the result in the integer, so I am storing that result in integer. Result equals to add. It's still giving me error because it asking me the method add in the type explanation is not applicable for the arguments, empty arguments. So it asking us to enter two values. Okay, it asking like say result, and I will call here add method. Okay, inside this we need to send the two parameters. So now see, it will not show you any error. So we need to print this result, right? System dot out dot println of results. So let me run this again. Java application. C is first it calling the greet. Okay, giving you the greet, and second it's just printing the value, and third it calling the method add, and these add parameters will be sent into integer a and integer b. Then it will perform a plus b and it will return when you are where you call that add method. Okay, it return the 21 plus 32. Okay, which is means 53. It return the 53 and it stores in the result, and that result will be printed to the user. Okay, print it out in our console. So this is how we will work with the with parameter and with return functions. Okay, with parameter and with return functions. Now next we have like uh, what we can discuss here. We will do one example like for checking even number or not. Okay, like see here I will create one scene like static. Okay, and just in static method static, and here the return type has to be true or false. Okay, like we will give one number and it has to check whether it is an even number or not, and then it has to result true or false. Okay, based on true or false we will print the number is even or odd. Okay, now static boolean, because the return type has to be boolean, is even. Okay, I'm just giving the name as an a even or not. So here we need to send one parameter, right? Here we need to send the one parameter, so that parameter is, we can call it as a num. Okay, whatever that num the user is sending, that has to divide it by 2, means the remainder has to be 0, then only it is even number. So here the logic is simple, which is nothing but a return num modulus of 2, num modulus of 2 equals to 0. Whether when you perform a modulus of 2 with the number he has given is equal to 0, then it will return the true. Okay, if not, it return the false. So here the return type will be true or false, which is nothing but a boolean. So now here I will call that, or okay, I will dynamically, I will statically, I will give one number, and here as I will give the number as a 7. Okay, now here in the if condition, okay, here in the if condition, or let me take another boolean here, boolean, and here I will check whether even is equals to, and I will call that is even. Okay, is even method. Okay, I will now send that number in the parameters. Okay, number in the parameters. Now here it will give whether it is true or not. Okay, and that true or not is stored in the even is. In this I will take if condition and even is. Okay, even is means nothing but if it is true, then we can say it as system.out.println, and here whatever the number we are taking, that concatenating, we need to concatenate and say as is even. Okay, whatever the number, and else means if the condition fails it will execute the false block. Now system, the number is odd. Okay, see from starting it will, I'm just initializing one number to number equal to 7. Okay, now after that I am sending that number to the is even method. Okay, it will return some boolean, so I am taken the boolean type even is, because this method will return as a boolean. So is even, and that number will be sent to that method. So here is even in the method, it will receive that number in the parameters, and it will perform the logic. Okay, it perform the logic, it will check whether that number is divisible by 2. When we are dividing that number with 2, it is giving the remainder as a 0 or not. If it is giving the number 0 in the result, so it will return the true. So that true will be stored in this even is. So here it check whether if it is true or false. Okay, what is the condition here? That if the condition satisfies means true or false in the state of if. So if the condition is true, then it will show you as a even. If the condition is false, then it will show you as a odd. Okay, now let me run this program once again and see the 7 number is odd, so it's giving us an odd. So this is a background process. It is happening here. Okay, so you need to write some shadow programming. Okay, yesterday I explained how to write a shadow programming, what is happening in the background of our program. Okay, when you do that, you can know what is happening exactly. Now, uh, we did we miss anything? Okay, that's, and we have like built-in methods and user-defined functions also. Built-ins are nothing but like provided by Java. Java also provides some methods. Okay, like a math dot square root or system dot out dot println. This is also one of the method, right? Println. Okay, here it's printing. So this, we have different types. User defines are nothing but what we are defining. Okay, these are all we simply defining ourselves. So these are called created by the programmer. The user, whoever the programmer is created the functions, those we call it as a user defined. Okay, let me note that. Here we have built-in and user defined. Okay, user defined is nothing but created by programmer. Created by programmer. The built-in is nothing but provided by Java. Provided by Java itself. Built-ins are the Java. In the Java we have certain methods, so that we known as a built-in. And when the programmer creates the functions, that is known as a user defines. Okay, and we have different type, like see in this we have used some local variables and global variables. So global variables are nothing but those are class variables. When you create the variables inside a class, okay, integer a equals to some 98, this will be known as a global variables. But when you create a variable declared inside the function, that cannot be used outside the function. Like see integers z equals to 0. Okay, whatever the value, see I have used this integer z equals to 0. But here in the main method, I can't use this. Okay, I can't use this z plus 1. See, it giving me the error. Okay, because it is initiated in the local variable, it declared in the local variable. But if you declare that variable outside the same, let me show you here. See, if we declare the z equals to 91, and you can use that z plus 1, okay, z plus 10. So this is a local variables declared inside the functions, cannot be used outside it. In Java, global variables are, those are class variables or in an instance variables. Local variable is nothing but when you are initializing in a value like integer 0 inside the function, it is known as a local variable. And we have some methods as known as a function overloading and overriding. Okay, function overloading is nothing but you can define multiple functions with the same name but with different parameters types or counts. See here, I will give one example for this. Here, let me give it here. Function overloading. Okay, function overloading is nothing but you can define different function names like multiple function names or same names, multiple function multiple functions with the same name, but with a different parameter type or counts. Okay, which means example, see, I am creating one method and return type as an integer. Okay, so here I'm passing integer a and integer b values. So this is one function. Okay, with the same name, the function name is add, and I can create another function by using different return type and the same method name with different parameters. Okay, float a, float. Okay, this is known as a function overloading. Function overloading is nothing but when you define multiple function names, okay, multiple functions with the same name, but different parameter types are in accounts. So that is known as a function overloading. Java decides which functions to run based on the number or a type of an arguments. Whatever the type or the arguments we are mentioning in our functions, so based on that it will decide whether which function has to run first. Now, like when you creating the function names, okay, when you are creating the function names, use meaningful names only. Like if you want creating a logic for the calculating salary, okay, so you need to give the calculate the salary name. Okay, let's see here, like integer return type and calculate salary. So this is how you need to give the method name. So you need to give meaningful names for the functions and keep functions for a short, like for one task. To perform only particular task, use that function. Okay, avoid global variables. Okay, you don't need to create the global variables, and if you create it, don't use this. Okay, just create the local variables itself and use that local variables in the functions. And you can use the comments in the function to describe, let's see, this practice. I can write as a or a note, and first one is use meaningful names, and keep function short and simple, short and focus on one task, not the repetitive task. Okay, and avoid global variables, and you can like use the comments. Using comments in the function is must, or it helps you or for any person to understand what actually the function is doing. Okay, so I think all of you understand about all these keywords, why we use a void. Void because when there is no returning the value, okay, we use the void. Okay, and this is a return. When you are return sends a back value to the caller. Okay, we are calling this is a caller, so we need to send the value to that caller. And the static is not static can be called without creating an object. If there is no need to create an object when you are using static methods. And the public, okay, here we can use the public also. So this is an access modifiers. Public, when you use a public, it will visible to everywhere. Or if you use a protected, we have different types of access modifiers: public, protected, okay, private. So whichever you want to use, till where you want to use, like it is visible to everyone. If you want to protect that method, you can use a protected. Okay, so this is a main method, that's an entry point. So from here we will call the all the functions. Okay, you can do the programs on this, like can find the maximum of two numbers. Just maximum, you can create the method name as a maximum, and send the two parameters and just compare the two numbers and send what is the maximum number in that two numbers. Or you can write a program for the prime numbers to check the whether number is a prime or not. Okay, so you can do that, or you can use a factorial, or you can call yesterday we have done, right, reverse of a number. You can do that with that examples also. Just create one function, send a number, then it has to send the reverse number, okay, when you call that function. Okay, so this is today's class about the functions. Like when you want to structure neatly, okay, when you want to code organized way, so you can use these functions, okay, logically. And you need to see majorly focus on these functions as what is a return type and non-return functions. Okay, here we are returning something, but here we are not returning anything. Here just we are printing the values. So just know the difference between returning and non-returning functions, and understand how to use these parameters. Okay, when you call this method, we need to send the parameters. Okay, we need to send the parameters, arguments or work. Okay, so this is about today's class, and thank you for whoever watching this video. Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, if you have any doubts regarding anything, you can just ping me in the WhatsApp, or you can attend to the class and ask me in the class. Okay, thank you, Asim.